What's up, everybody? So I wanted to take a few minutes out of this day to talk about the featherweight division. I think the featherweight division is one of the best divisions in boxing right now. So I think it's one of the deepest divisions for sure. When you look at the champs right now, we have WBO champ Robeisy Ramirez. You got IBF champ Luis Lopez. You know, Ramirez got the belt off of Dog Bay. Well, I won't say he got it off of Dog Bay, but he won the belt, the vacant title, by beating Isaac Dog Bay. You got Luis Alberto Lopez, who just knocked out Michael Conlan. You have Ray Vargas, who won the title by beating Mark Magsayo. And then you have the WBA champ Lee Wood, who just won his title back from Mauricio Lara. All those champions, I would say besides Robeisy Ramirez, have had some stout challenges. And I'm not knocking Dog Bay by saying that. But what I'm saying is, Mauricio Lara, we know what he did to Josh Warrington. And then Lee Wood came and got knocked out by Mauricio Lara. And then Lee Wood handled Mauricio Lara in the rematch fairly easily. Ray Vargas with the split decision over Mark Magsayo. Ray Vargas just lost to Oshaki Foster, but that was at super feather. So he'll go back down the feather and probably, well, we'll talk about what's going to happen or what's happening next anyway and why this division is so deep. But Luis Alberto Lopez, we saw what he did to Josh Warrington, man. Now think about Josh Warrington. He's a solid champ. He was a solid champ as well. But yeah, Luis Alberto Lopez saw what he did to take care of Josh Warrington. So I think out of the champions, Robeisy Ramirez is probably the one that I would say had the most to prove, but he's also one of the most skilled, especially when it comes to counterpunching. So moving on as to why I believe this division is so deep. When you look at it, and I'm just going to go through these BoxRec rankings and this is why it's so deep. You see they have Brandon Figueroa as number one. It's BoxRec. You can agree or disagree, but we're just going to focus on the names and where they're placed, right? So Figueroa, Wood, Lopez, Vargas, Ramirez. That's not bad. That's not a bad list. You got Lara, Warrington, Abe, Magsayo, and Ford. Now, Abe just beat Kiko Martinez. That put him in a almost, I wouldn't say a mandatory position, because I'm sure they're going to have to find a number 2 for the IBF, and then the 1 and 2 will probably fight it out for a mandatory position. Unless they make Abe the mandatory, that could happen. Mark Magsayo sitting at number 9. Then you got Raymond Ford at number 10. Now you look at these names. We were just talking about Warrington, Lara, Abe, Magsayo, Ford. Ford is probably the one that is the least proven out of the group, along with Abe. But I would say Ford, because Ford just beat Jesse Magdaleno. Abe beat Kiko Martinez. So it's just which one would you weigh higher? Which one would you weigh higher? Abe did it in his own backyard, beating Kiko. Ford did not, obviously, when he beat Magdaleno. He's always having to travel. I think that was in San Antonio. I think that was on the Jesse Rodriguez card. Then you have Nick Ball, Dog Bay, Gonzalez, Joet Gonzalez. He's a steady contender as well. So you know all these names are solid contenders. 11 through 15. Jazza Dickens, they're all solid fighters. Then we go to 16 through 20. Kiko Martinez, even though he's coming towards the end of his career, he's still solid. You got Victor Morales, who just knocked out Diego De La Hoya in like 2 rounds on a Golden Boy card. Michael Conlan, he's still a good fighter, but we don't know, now that this is his second brutal knockout, we don't know how Mick Conlan's gonna be going forward. But we do know he is a solid fighter, or it could be he was a solid fighter. We'll just have to wait and see how he rebounds and if he continues to fight. Judging by what he was putting out on Twitter, he seemed like he was good to go even the next day. So he'll probably be back. I would say he'll be back, and I think he'll definitely be a solid test. And he's still going to try to get his world title. I still think he's going to try to get his world title. Now, whether Top Rank is going to push as hard for it like they've been in the past, that's another question altogether. Number 20, a lot of you may not be as familiar with him, but Japet Lee Lamido, and I might be pronouncing that name wrong, but Japet Lee Lamido is a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. I think he's very young. I think he's like 23 years old. But if you watch him fight, he has high skill. He's a orthodox fighter. And I would probably pick him to beat 3 out of the 4, 19-16. I think he would beat Kiko Martinez. I think he would beat Victor Morales. And I think he would beat Arnold Kigai and Mick Conlan, because they both like to stay on the outside. I don't know about that one. It might be a little tougher. But that depends on the state of Mick Conlan. But Japhet Lemido, go check him out if you haven't. He is definitely a solid fighter, and he would give anybody in the featherweight division issues. May not beat him, but he's not going to be an easy out. 21-25. A lot of people are high on Ruben Villa. A lot of people seem to be high on Ruben Villa. I'm not as high. I think he is a skilled fighter, but when I watch him, I see a very skilled fighter I don't know if he has enough. I wouldn't pick him to beat any of the champions. I wouldn't pick him to beat any of the champions right now. And that's unlike what I'm going to say about the next person that's on this list. Number 22, Altabek Kholmatov. Altabek Kholmatov might be the best fighter on this list in the top 25. And that's including the champions. But there's still time. He's still very young, decorated amateur. The guy is really, really good. He's really, really good. He's got a little swag to him. He does kind of play around in the ring. He can play around in the ring a little too much, but he does it when he's out of danger. He makes sure he's out of danger. Like if you throw a punch and you miss, he's going to be looking out in the crowd like, oh, where'd that go? That's his style. He has a little flair to him. I like that about him. He's very confident in his abilities, but he has good pop, very good size for the division. And I think he's going to be the one that you really have to worry about when it comes to the featherweight division. I just wonder how long he's going to stay at featherweight, because he's already like 5'7", 5'8". So how long can he really stay at featherweight? That's going to be a question. So what are we going to get in the future? I think we're going to get Vargas Figueroa. That's an easy fight to make, in-house, PBC. That will be a great fight for the WBC title, and we'll get more clarity. If that happens. Also, the WBA, they ordered Lee Wood to fight Kholmatov, who I was just telling you about. And what I didn't expect was what came after that order, which was Kholmatov was talking all kinds of stuff, saying that he was going to end Lee Wood. He's ready to end Lee Wood. Raymond Ford jumped in there saying, you know what, don't worry about it. Why don't you drop that belt? I got it. I got this. And then Kholmatov responded to Ford with the Pinocchio nose and then covering his mouth like he giggling. So I'm liking all this, man. I'm liking all this. I like to see it because I really do. I like how all these fighters are fighting each other and we're getting a chance to see them. Another positive of having all these networks involved in boxing. We're having the opportunities to see all these fights, see all these featherweights interact, and we're able to actually tell versus relying on rankings, because we're able to see so many fights as to where everybody really stacks up. But the top 25 of the featherweights, they all can compete. Of course, you have better fights than others, but they all can compete at a high level. And we got some great fights that we're going to have a chance to watch coming up. Who the best is, that still has to be worked out, because I'm not sure how much longer any of them are really going to stay at the weight. Kholmatov could move up. Ford's already talking about moving up. So we're going to have some of these same battles as we get to Super Feather. We just have to see how it plays out. But that's all I have for this one. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.